Well, one thing that folks have been talking about in the news is the fact that there are things going on with Biden and the whole notion of Biden Trump. So Biden has accused Trump of bowing to Putin by encouraging Russia to invade NATO allies that don't meet their obligations. So definitely it looks like Biden is trying to have some words on what Trump is saying, and Biden has called Trump's NATO remarks un-American. And I do know that there were some folks that were concerned that when Biden was meeting with the gentleman from Jordan, that he was looking dazed and confused and all along those lines. And I do know that that is, I believe, the title of an old movie and all in that kind of way. But definitely it'll be interesting to see what folks' thoughts are and all along those lines. And of course, the Senate's $95 billion foreign aid bill is heading to the House for the House Republicans. And we'll see what happens in that way because they're saying $95 billion package with aid for Ukraine and Israel. And we're going to see if the Republicans can get it passed in the whole notion of the House, because I'd heard that the House leadership might be trying to hold it up and all in that way. So definitely those are some of the things that are happening on the political landscape. And Intel is warning that Putin is prepping for a military clash with NATO. And I'd also heard something like one of the Danish countries was saying that as well. And UK's Rockdale candidate loses Labour Party backing over his anti-Semitic remarks. So that is something that is going on in the world as well. So definitely a lot of things are taking place, even on the political front and all along those lines. And definitely, wow, that's something that's more like a news story, but I might have to tell y'all about that before we get back to the political discussion. And I know I've got Nick here, and I'll see who else is here as well. But there is a gentleman that says he'll destroy the paintings by Picasso and Warhol with acid if Assange dies in prison. So he says that he's going to destroy $45 million worth of Rembrandt, Picasso, and Warhol masterpieces with acid if Julian Assange dies in jail. So definitely, it looks like he's definitely trying to put a lot of people's livelihood and all along those lines if that is to happen and all in that spaces. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out because definitely it looks like Andrei Molodyakin, the Russian and dissident artist, has said he does not believe the works by Picasso, Rembrandt, Andy Warhol, and others, which he will lock in away in a safe with a corrosive substance this Friday, will actually be destroyed. So definitely looks like he's trying to get this man freed. So maybe that's what can happen is you can bribe folks in order to get what you want and all along those lines. But I've got Steve Brown with me, and also got Nick Palveda with me here as well. So I know earlier we were talking, and Nick, Steve's of the opinion that the Republicans are totally, like you have said as well, are going to win this whole election, and that the Democrats just need to pack up their bags and head on home because they're not going to win anything in this particular race and all
Well, I
along
didn't.
those lines.
And
Yes,
anyway,
I'm
guys,
being sarcastic.
I wanted to open up today. I've got to go to city council meeting in a few minutes, so I head over to City Hall. But I wanted to open up today with world politics, kind of set the table. What I meant to say, there's so much going on in the world. We've got, um, you know, um, you know, wars in the Middle East, wars in Ukraine, but the elephant in the room is Donald Trump, right? And how can a president who has been charged with so many crimes and said really, really weird things still be doing so well? And I think the thing about it is that Biden's age is hurting him. The gaffes recently. There hasn't really been a lot of focus on the fact that we're avoiding recession, that there has been some successes on his Biden economics and infrastructure plan. Although Nick Palvadiva reminds us that we're in significant debt, and that may be unsustainable. We've got just a lot going on, but I think at the end of the day, it comes down to messaging and marketing. And Trump is still have somehow, I think, managed to convince his base of the fact that he's the right guy to be in the White House again. And I think that Biden can still win, but it's not looking as good as it was a few months ago. So all I'm saying is that we need to be prepared again for a Trump world. What would that mean on foreign politics? Well, it would mean that you would have an isolationist foreign policy. You would probably no longer be allowed to come in here as a refugee. There would be probably construction of a wall again. all of these things. And of course, Sasha Starr and I both are not Trump fans. I'm not saying that Biden can't do it, but it's something that we have to realize that it could happen, and we've got to. Democrats need to work together, to make it happen. And we'll see what happens. And Nikki Haley, maybe there's a way she can pull through if she wins one and get some momentum, but not looking very likely. So
it's not looking good for Nikki. I mean, the thing is, I think by Super Tuesday, you're going to see Nikki out of the race. It's going to be a two-person race, Trump versus Biden. Biden's best chance of having the Democrats win is for him to step down and to let the new blood of the Democratic Party, Amy Klobuchar being one of them, who was really great in the debates a couple of years ago, get up on the stage and start pounding away, and take a page from Nikki Haley's book. Hey, I'm a young person as opposed to an old person. So right now you have an old person, which is Donald Trump, going against even an older person, Joe Biden. Wouldn't it be nice if you brought somebody like Klobuchar in, I thought she was really good on stage, and have her or somebody else start the Democratic debates again and have people get some young blood in there. But, the way two things are not sustainable. In the long term, the national debt is not sustainable. The other thing that's not sustainable is the way the Democrats are pursuing the president of the United States. They need to let younger people step in. They're not doing it, and hence they're going to lose. But I like to hear what Sasha says. He's in Canada. And see how's it going across the border.
Well, Nick, what are you going to say about Republican younger people? Where are they? There are no much younger people there.
There's Nikki Haley, and that's it. The rest of them are all.
But we'll both know that she has no chances, same as Klobuchar or anybody. Klobuchar was not bad in the debates, I agree with you, but she's not visible. Very few people even know who she is. And so once in 2 years, she's going to debate and she'll do well, but that's not enough to become a nominee who actually has a chance to win the election. In my opinion, right now we'll see in the next couple of days what Supreme Court will rule about the issue of Trump's the plea that the president or former president cannot be prosecuted, so immunity from all kinds of prosecutions. We'll see if he will get not even immunity. I don't think it will ever happen, but even some kind of a delay that they want to see some further briefs here and there. They already asked the special counsel to provide his brief. Okay, he'll provide brief in next probably 48 hours, if not faster. Okay, so that's done. So anyways, the Supreme Court still has to do something. They will not be able to just sit there for several months and know whether he has immunity, maybe some immunity, maybe a little bit of immunity, maybe immunity here, but not there. They're not
I mean, the president does have a certain amount of immunity. They call it qualified immunity. For example, if he leads, well, we'll give you a George Bush when he decided he wanted to attack Iraq. There was no war declared, and all of a sudden he's attacking Iraq. He could have been charged with murder, but he wasn't. Qualified immunity. So when you see the briefs come down from the Supreme Court, they're going to talk about qualified immunity, but not absolute immunity. So a good example would be Trump gets his Irish up, and he goes to his Vice President Pence and takes a knife and cuts him. Okay, he doesn't have immunity for stuff like that. You can't do stuff like that. So I think he's going to lose this one because he doesn't have qualified immunity over certain acts. I think that's a loser for him. We'll have to see what the Supreme Court says.
I think that's an important constitutional crisis, Nick. I know I went from it's great to see Kimberly Calhoun here, founder of the network, along with you. But I mean, I think the bottom line is that I think what the court is saying is that the third section of the 14th Amendment says that anyone running for federal office cannot run if they have been connected with insurrection or rebellion against the country. The challenge here, though, is it's never been ruled of whether that bars a presidential candidate from being on the ballot. So the court is holding off on this decision, kicking the can down the road. Now, if Trump wins, and Chief Justice Roberts and others have said that they were concerned that if they did act on this, others would be defended about being on the ballot. But what under a scenario Donald Trump were to win again? He is convicted of a crime, and then the 14th Amendment does come into play, and would have to go back into court and say, can he serve in the presidency again? Now, the fact that it's a conservative court, you got to think that they would rule in favor of him, which you start thinking that we could be headed towards a significant constitutional crisis.
Chief, wait a sec. But Trump was not charged for insurrection. He was charged with many other stuff, but not insurrection. On the other hand, the 7 judges in Colorado found him involved in insurrection. Not that he was an insurrectionist, but he was involved in insurrection. And based on the, I'm puzzled really how they will rule on this issue, this 14th Amendment.
I think, I was about to ask Kimberly Calhoun, she just disappeared, but I don't know. I mean, I think the problem is that the court, where I'm going with this, folks, is that we don't want to, I mean, as an American, what I get concerned about is, if let's say there's a crisis and then he wins the presidency, and then let's say in February or January, he's convicted, the court comes through. Will he be allowed to stay in the presidency? Could he pardon himself?
That's an impossible scenario, Steve, right?
It's a possible scenario. And
the moment he will become a president, he will pardon himself and he will cancel all cases against him. Don't you understand that?
Yeah, I know.
No more cases against him.
All the cases will disappear.
So it's crazy.
It has to finish before the election.
Meanwhile,
once elected on say the first week of November, he's elected the second week of November. Everything is gone. All his lawsuits and cases and so on. Everything is gone. So, but I'm surprised about the other things. They did not. The Supreme Court. They did not really dig into insurrection. What is an insurrection? Was he involved in so? They didn't care about that. What they actually care only one issue. What if the other states will do that? But hold on. But if one state has done everything legally right, according to the Constitution and every point of the provision, which appears to be so, then yes, the other state can do exactly the same. And so what? Then another thing is, what's happened if one state can decide the election of the United States, because if Colorado will get him off the ballot, so the one state may actually single-handedly deprive so many 80, 70 or whatever million Americans of his choice or so on. How about 2000 election when one person, not even the state, one person, it was 5-4 decision. So the one person decided the issue of who would be next president of the United States, not the state, one person. How about that? And it played out. What happened?
Yeah, but those were the arguments that were placed on oral arguments. See, when you see the final written opinion, I thought those were pretty weak, actually, Sasha. I think the stronger arguments, although they didn't produce them, was he actually, did he have due process through a trial in any of these instances? And
but what does it say, Nick, about the due process through trial?
In other words, there isn't, obviously in the 14th Amendment, there isn't anything that mentions the process. It doesn't. Okay. So it has to be filled in by the court. A lot of it, when you see it filled in by the court, they call it doctrine. In other words, and this will be a first time, so it's a de novo opinion by the court. But I think what they're going to lean to, the stronger argument would be that he needs to have a trial, in other words, a formal trial, be convicted of the trial, and then, of course, then he could be removed from the ballot from insurrection, as long as he gets to exercise his due process rights. I think that's what the opinion's going to say when it comes out. Too bad Adam isn't here because he's a constitutional scholar, Adam Lamparero, and he may have the same opinion I do. when the court, an oral argument moved to, well, one state decides, the other one doesn't. I think that's a weaker argument, because here's the reason. You're going to try to get yourself on ballot A, but you were rejected because you didn't pay a filing fee, for example. So, you're not on the ballot of A. Does that mean that A got to decide the election? You see what I mean? So even though that is an argument, I think it's a weaker argument for the people that have taken the LSATs. But at the same time, we don't know. We'll see it when the court.
But,
Either case, I think Trump has a winner on that one. Now, in terms of the other one, where he says, I'm immune, I think the district court and the appellate court in D.C. got it right. He's not immune. And he's going to find that out. And the court may not even hear the case. They may go, a big one you get in court for those guys who listen and go there, per curiam affirmed. Okay? In other words, the Supreme Court doesn't even have to listen. All I have to do is put 3 words down. Per curiam affirmed, and it's over. And so the thing is, I don't think he's going to get immunity. They may not even hear it. They may just do what they call a PCA, and you're out the door.
Hey, Nick, along those same lines and everything, just out of curiosity, I'd love to hear both you and Sasha's thoughts, and even Steve as well. But the other thing that Biden is getting some flack for is this attitude in certain foreign situations, and whether he's doing enough in those kind of environments. As a matter of fact, there has been some reports coming out of Israel that there are people that are kind of criticizing him and saying that he is bowing too much to the left. As a matter of fact, he's been accused of betrayal of Israel, and that he's catering toward the far left side of politics and everything. And there was also and I know that some people think that Putin is the friend of Mr. Trump, but apparently Netanyahu is not a friend of Biden, because there have been some reports where apparently he called that particular Israel prime minister basically an asshole, and that was his exact words and everything. But I was just wondering y'all's thoughts as to whether some of these hot button issues and some of these relationships with our foreign allies could be problematic in the election.
I've got to leave in 5 minutes, guys, because I got a city council meeting. But I mean, at the end of the day, Mark, I think all eyes are watching. As I said this morning, and we're going to get into some other issues on Thursday because I have to leave. But the bottom line is that people are watching this because it's going to affect the foreign policy of the United States. I mean, if Trump were to be elected, you're going to have isolationist foreign policy. You're going to have no aid to Ukraine. NATO is going to be finished. You're going to have a wall built, and we got Kimberly Keller, and I want to get her input before I leave. But so half the world's population is going through an election, but the president of the United States will be directing the future of the world for the next 4 years. And so, all eyes are watching this election big time. Now, plus, we don't know what's going to happen with Rishi Sunak. Now they're saying the Labour Party may come back in Britain. So you've got these, changes. Kimberly, what is your take on this?
So first off, my internet keeps going in and out, so I'm missing part of the topic. But what I gather is that you're looking at an overall perspective of what's going on and what's influencing the politics right now, and what kind of power do we need to have in place as a president. And right now, I do not believe either one of the people that are in campaigning to become president are what we need in today. If you take a look at the overall what's going on globally, we are close to world war if we're not already in world war. Everywhere you go, there's a war. Okay, we need somebody who can start uniting everyone and inspire unity, inspire the ability to command, not demand, because that will incite another war. But we need someone who can command all of this. But I'm also been privy to some information that's very concerning to me. Is some of the people that have been supposedly migrating over into our borders, and the gender is male. majority of the age group of 18 to 25, which is military age, and the majority, which apparently hasn't really been documented very well, Chinese. And they are wondering if the
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
Chinese
something
are infiltrating cells. And I just spoke with someone who is also, a retired chief of Border Patrol, and I'll be speaking with some of the other people that I know on this. Is this rumor? Could this be speculative? We want to be very careful of what we say, but it's very concerning because it is not rumor, it is fact that the
Right.
majority of the people crossing the borders. And my question is how are they getting to those border points, right? If
Yeah,
they're
how are they-
Chinese, how are they infiltrating into the border points of Mexico and crossing over? So, but I agree with you, Steve. We have to be a little bit stronger in what we're looking at in a president. The ones that are running right now, my concern with Trump is he's too busy being concerned about his own affairs and himself. And, maybe he will wave his magic wand if he becomes president and forgive himself for all his crimes and move on with his
Well,
life.
I mean,
but
there's only,
I
the
think
only
we
thing is,
need
what
someone
my-
who can focus on us, not themselves.
What about this? I mean, I
That's
thought
what
about
I'm-
like kind of a funny well, first of all, I think the only good news, I have to leave, guys. The mayor's calling me. I have a city council meeting. I'm running late. But we'll be back on Thursday. But it's great to be here with all of you. What I would say is, wouldn't it be funny if, sort of like on the theme of the Christmas Carol, it was the ghost of presidents past that visit Donald Trump, and then let's say he changed, like Ebenezer Scrooge. And, he became the nicest guy in the world. And he was like, I'm the president. I represent all the people. The campaign is over. And I'm going to apologize to everybody. And wouldn't that be a happy ending?
I'm dreaming it's not going to happen. But
The ghost of the president's
That
past.
would
So
be
a visit from President Lincoln, maybe Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. I mean, these presidents that, where I'm going with this is that, and I'll end with this. This is the presidency of the United States. And now, have you ever thought about this, that, these are the people that led our country during the best of times, worst of times. Next week is going to be President's Day. We're going to be celebrating that. They have just taken the presidency and made it like any other office. It's not like any other office. And people around the world are looking to the president of the United States. And, it's just my only hope, and the silver lining in the cloud is that 4 years from now, there will be no Donald Trump and there will be no Joe Biden. There will be completely two new people running for the White House who couldn't have been born in 1940s because by then they'd be 90 years old. So it's going to be the year of the young president returning in 2028. So that's what we're doing. And that's why I'm running marathons, because I got my eyes in the Oval Office for 40 years if I can get to Congress. I'm like, 42.
So are we going to have Steve Rao running in 2028 or 2032?
No, not 28. I got to be a U.S. Senator by 28. But then after that, hey, I'm just a baby, 60. I'll be a young pup. All I need is one term in the Senate. Just kidding, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
actually,
don't
But
age
anyway, I
yourself.
got to go, guys. Have a great day in
Steve.
world politics. We welcome you to this show. Send us your ideas. Starting next week, we're going to
But
start bringing
one of the
guests
things
on.
I would like to point out is our TV. We
Go ahead.
will be doing another world politics show will be starting real soon. I wanted to comment on
yes.
Steve saying I thought that our world's worst president commentary that we ran a few years ago was like the ghost from Christmas past. I thought that was so much fun, so educational. I learned so much, not just about history, but about the other presidents.
I'm going to start
So
doing
maybe
Donald Trump.
we can replay that.
I do a lot of imitations. So one show I'm going to start coming on and doing a little Donald Trump, as a commentator, just speaking like Trump, right? I mean, it's just swagger.
We could have you doing that and everything, and we might even have to bring back.
Thank you, guys. I got to go do the work for the people. Thank you.
I got to go do the real work.
Might have you go do the world's worst presidents. Might have to do that again very shortly. And speaking of the work of the people, I'm gonna have to run out shortly as well. But I know I got my leaders here and everything, but it won't be for another 20 minutes or so. But definitely, Sasha, my question I was asking is how concerned should we be about these president candidates and their relationship with these different folks? Because I mean, if I'm a world leader, I don't know that I want to necessarily be calling another world leader an asshole, particularly if that's a world leader that I'm supposed to have as one of my allies and everything, which is apparently what Biden did with Netanyahu and everything. But I'm just wondering your take on this and whether these kind of off-putting remarks could be problematic either for Biden or for Trump.
Well, I don't understand the U.S. foreign policy, what U.S. is trying to achieve, what is the goal. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand the actions of presidents or nominees or whoever they are, what they're talking about, what they're trying to achieve, what is the policy. I mean, it was very clear U.S. policy since the end of Second World War until 2016, when the Trump became president. Everything turned upside down. There is no any foreign policies that could be implemented or even presented as a coherent and understandable document. There is nothing. There is a complete vacuum. One president wants this, another president wants that. Biden helped Israel right after this, October 7th. Then he became enemy of Israel, demanding this and that, and to no great effect at all. By the way, Israel was able to uncover where this head of Hamas is hiding with all his family and so on. And now it's of course in all tunnels and so on. And now Israel has another dilemma, what to do with him, because to go after him and whether to capture or kill him, obviously you will kill all his family, that's given. And there's no clear path to what's going to happen there. Oh, we'll find out real soon.
Yeah, but
I can help you out with the foreign policy because we do have a Trump policy, Sasha. Mm-hmm. If you aren't aware of it, he does have a very consistent policy. It's called chaos. Okay. So the thing is, if you want to know the Trump policy, it's chaos. By the way, very, very interesting. There's a guy named Jon Stewart who's back on the Comedy Channel doing something very similar to ours, although he gets less viewers than we do on a yearly basis, not on a daily basis. The Daily Show. And all that he did was attack the ages of the presidents. It was pretty humorous, pretty funny, not discussing any of the issues, but basically discussing the ages. Now, when it comes to the issues, there's, of course, we brought up the immigration issue with all the people coming from China. But no one does a deep dive on that one. Why are they coming from China? And this goes back to American immigration policy, which is horrible. It's they do not really have a good immigration policy. But here's what they did. Check this one out. They have quotas, by the way, in case you don't know, coming in from certain countries. Like in Finland, you'll have a quota of 200,000. Great Britain, 1 million. China, they had a quota of 2 million. And then what they did, because when Trump came in and he had this anti-Chinese policy, he dropped the quota from 2 million to 100,000. So what happened? The Chinese who were coming here figured out they can't get in because when they file their application, they're automatically denied. So what they did is they started coming through the border. They come through the Mexican border and then ask for asylum because they don't want to be under communist rule anymore. Now you see the problem with our immigration policy. We really do not have a good articulated.
Hey, Nick, along the same lines, I just had a quick question for you as I'm hearing what you're saying and everything, but it's no longer there. But there was a Chinese restaurant that wasn't that far from here, and the lady and her family that were running it were from mainland China. I've told y'all before that even in the apartment complex that I live at, there are a number of Chinese students that are nearby, including some that are even in this particular building and everything. Should I be concerned that they might be spies and everything, or are they just here for the reason that they say that they're here, which is to run a restaurant and to get their education and everything? Or should I be concerned?
You're making me hungry for Chinese food, okay? Because for the most part, no, they're not Chinese spies. I mean, that's kind of ludicrous. It's made up. You know, for the most part, they're people here just like everybody else trying to scratch out a living in the United States of America. And then when you're looking at
disagree slightly with that based on the conversation I had today.
Pardon? What was the question?
I
wanted to just
think that there's enough of them being infiltrated in that can start building small war cells. But I wanted to answer Mark's question about what I thought that, calling someone an asshole as a presidential candidate or a president. And I'm going to play my favorite speech. And I wish I was as eloquent and beautiful as this woman. I love her dearly, but she could not have said this any better when she was criticizing our presidents. Hold on, here we go.
Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose. We to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet for every outrage.
All right.
Seems to have some bandwidth issues.
there were some big issues there. We'll have to get that downloaded at a later time. But I did remember that speech and the gist of what she was saying.
I didn't see that part. I grounded. But what she's saying, and it was spotty because of our internet, is disrespect invites disrespect. And our leaders, when they sit there and they represent themselves with this just distasteful mannerism, we are inspiring our youth to behave that way. No one is inspiring our youth to take control, take charge, and command our way out of this mess. All we're doing is fighting, and it's, inciting fear, anger, and just, spreading a disease that we need to stop. And she's dead on. And, Trump needs to take his little old tiny self off somewhere else, because she is exactly dead on. He was very disrespectful to this country, always has been disrespectful to other people. And she's just saying that when we allow our leaders to behave that way, then it invites that kind of same level. You invite that same kind of respect everywhere. So that's how I feel about that, Mark. But Nick, to answer your question, the immigrants that are coming in, it is being speculated, because of what has happened in the past, that they could be being infiltrated as Chinese cells to incite danger on us down the road. I mean, what better way to take over a country than when you've got people all over the country in little mass cell pods, and then you attack this way and you attack this way. So yeah, I do believe that there could be concern. I don't think they're just here to eat.
That's an interesting point.
You can make the argument that those people already exist. It's called the mega party. So, who cares? I mean, I'm not really, I'm not really worried about the Chinese people at this point in time, or the people coming in from foreign countries, because almost everybody in the United States of America came in from other countries, had ancestors here. They did not, they weren't just born, raised here prior to the country being established, like yours truly, by the way. Okay. So the thing is, I don't have a problem with the immigration policy, because, but right now we don't have an immigration policy. We have a horrible immigration policy. It's anti-American immigration policy, and it's continuing to be that way. So until we change that, this is what you get, all trash at the border. But
we have no process at all, because there's too many immigrants coming in that we can't process them the way that they need to be processed to begin with. And the catch and release program, and I've spoke with many people in legal authority on that, and it's wrong, because if you catch someone who's an illegal alien who's doing something illegal on your land, you either lock them up in prison or you ship them back where they belong back
Well, the
back
question becomes, what
where they
are
came
they
from.
doing?
Or
illegally?
if you can't do either, create an islandware and ship them there.
Yeah, it's called
But
Australia.
the catch and release is what's killing us.
You said it was.
All right, well, hey, Shaq, we're going to ship them back to Australia.
Wait a minute, Nick. You said it was called Australia. Technically speaking, wasn't it called America? Because then we captured a bunch of folks in the areas of around England and kind of shipped them over here because they were considered to be the misfits of England and all along those lines. Because we have a similar history to Australia as the reason that we were created.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, the thing is, that's the reason I go back to the famous Statue of Liberty. It says, "Give me your poor, you're tired, you're hungry." Well, that's a complete lie. If you're going to place a statement like that on the Statue of Liberty and let it sit there in the New York Harbor as a complete lie, then what you need to do is pack up the statue, pack up all those things, and send it back to France, where maybe they actually believe in liberty, but we don't. And so
we can put it
our
in a
immigration
museum
policy needs to
somewhere.
be articulated. Our immigration policy needs to be articulated by our leaders. Our leaders have not articulated jack.
Our
So
leaders
why
are
do-
laggers. We don't
they're
have
lackers,
leaders.
okay. So what does as Mr. Wonderful said on Shark Tank, what do you want to do? If you want to have a policy that's isolationist, you say, here's our policy. No more immigrants. Okay? Just make it
Speaking of no more
perfectly
immigrants, speaking of no more immigrants, I had the
Every
pleasure
time.
earlier today.
and make up your mind.
no,
Skip
Nick,
credit. You know?
Nick, speaking of immigrants, I had the pleasure earlier today of being on a well, it amounted to almost like a Zoom call, but it was actually a one of those fireside chats. It was actually a fireside chat between Soledad O'Brien and Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry actually brought up something that you bring up on this network, but it also plays into politics because he was saying that as he made this money, and he's made billions now, so he's actually a billionaire and is a very well-known filmmaker. But I had the pleasure of seeing him in this fireside chat, and also there were some people that were able to ask him questions. I unfortunately was not one of them because they were pre-picked and pre-selected and all along those lines. But he talked about the fact that he was audited. And this you're going to love, Kim. When he was audited, he found out that the government actually owed him about $1 million. So they owed him a bunch of money because when he got audited, because he said at first he had his sister doing the financial, because somebody asked him about financial planning and the importance of financial planning. It was actually an accountant, I think, from Georgia. And he was like, well, when I first started, I had my sister doing it. And she said, I'm going to get you all this money and everything, but she didn't know what she was doing. She wasn't trained in accounting or in pensions or anything else. But he then said that he then had a IRS auditor audit and found out that they owed him $1 million. So he's now working with one of the major companies, Price Waterhouse, and has a office and all along those lines. But he has found out that they owed him a bunch of money. So he's
I wonder if they ever paid him. They took 5 years to pay me, and I had to go to the advocate and get it. So
I'll put a plug
yeah,
in for
I mean,
Price Waterhouse because we had a couple of our employees in our pension company that came from Price Waterhouse. They were the best. Okay. So the thing is, if you if you have enough money or your company's making enough money, go to Price Waterhouse Coopers, assuming they will take you as a client.
well,
well, you need to have a lot of money or a good business plan. But let's take a break right now.
Yeah, our bookstore. Now the thing is, I saw
And
the
we
ad.
are back from the break.
I saw the ad. I
Go
saw the
ahead.
Super Bowl ads. I think the Super Bowl ads are better, but for those who are listening, you can actually go to podtv.tv and order books on our bookstore with our relationship with a company called Amazon, which is a little bigger company than us the last time I looked, Kim. But it was good that we have a partner called Amazon. And so, yeah, go to podtv.tv. You can order books and also other things on the
get cups, you can
Merchandise
get
as
shirts.
well. We have two
merchandise on
stores.
the website.
So we have two
Right.
stores, a merchandise store and Amazon.com for books. And we also have to disclaim that we do make a 5 cent per book
You're almost like you're driving me crazy. I know it. I know it's up there, but it reminds me of
disclaim that we do make. I think it's 50 cents per book sold. Unfortunately, Amazon makes us do that.
By the way, Amazon requires us to do it. Do you know no other industry does that except financial services, where I'm in? They do have all these commission disclosure rules out there, which is kind of funny. And I argue against it because I'm going.
I don't know why they do that.
When you go out and buy a card, does the person tell you what commission they're going to make? When you go out and you buy a computer, does the person tell you what the markup is on the computer? No, they don't do that. But Amazon does require us.
I've asked too, like when people are selling houses and stuff, I ask.
Yeah. Houses, they do.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny. If you're in real estate, they do commission disclosures.
They're supposed.
Products, the answer is no. And but again, nothing is taken out of the client's account, as I would say. So then you don't worry about it. You go to Amazon.
Really quickly, and I hate to do it, Steve. Just really quickly, I hate to do it, Steve, because I do have to bounce off to get to my Cultural Arts Center and all along those lines. But the question that I was going to bring up, even with Tyler Perry, is he also had some very interesting points of interest, and I'm hoping to get a copy of the videotape, because as an attendee, I get a copy of that video. But I know that he mentioned that you need to have a good team, so I'm proud to be part of this team that is under the leadership of Nick and Kim and all along those lines. But he did talk about the need to have a good team, but he also talked about kind of his attitude around what some people have called the victim mentality, because he was like, yes, he knew that he came from a disadvantaged environment, but he wasn't going to let that dictate what his success was going to be, and all along those lines. So he said, yes, you can acknowledge the fact of where you came from, and it might have put you in a disadvantage, but he also talked about the fact that the money in the African-American community only rotates out and it doesn't stay in the community that long as well. So there were a number of things that he talked about that were quite interesting, and I'm hoping to get a copy of that video, so hopefully we can even get some play on it about it in the Pod TV and all along those lines. But that being said,
call Tyler up and have him come on one of our shows, Mark. I mean, the thing is, I've listened to him on TV before. He's really smooth. I mean, he's a really sharp guy. I mean, the guy's obviously very sharp, very successful, developed studios in Atlanta, Georgia, and is one of the few people that in the media industry is a self-made multi-billionaire. And since we've had a lot of billionaires on our shows before, he would be a good one to get. So see if you can get Tyler Perry on one of our shows, Mark. And
I'm going to see if I can do that. And right now I'm going to get ready to get on out of here. I'm also going to see if I can get some of the guests, because one of the guests had a AI generated grocery store, which I found fascinating. Apparently it was an African-American owned AI generated grocery store. You could literally do your grocery shopping through the AI. And I know that Steve's been a big fan of those kind of stores and everything. And there was a fashion designer, and actually Sasha, the fashion designer, was actually out of Canada. So the fashion designer that was asking the question was out of Canada. So I'm hoping to reach out to her as well, because she is a fashion business owner and all along those lines. So some of the people that I saw that were asking questions, including a gentleman that I believe came out of the mailroom that has designed his own sources of furniture and chairs and everything. So I'm gonna try to see if I can't get Tyler, I'll try to get them on as well. But like I said, there's this thing called mass transit. I've got to get ready to catch that mass transit, so I'm getting to get out of here. I know you and Kim can end the show along with the very powerful Sasha and all in that space, but I'm getting to jet.
Yeah, we'll see you, Mr. Mark. See you tomorrow.
See you.
And there he goes. Wow, that's kind of amazing. Okay, here comes all the dead air space, because Mark's gone, as we all know. All right, so what were you talking about? Oh, American politics and this great topic. You know, my question is this. Is this going to, remember, this is going to go on now. This is going to go on all the way till November 5th. Isn't this going to get boring or repetitive after a while, having these two old men fight each other over the presidency of the United States? Or is Trump always going to provide us material to talk about?
I think you and Kim too, you have to resign yourself that this two old men is all what you've got. There's nothing else. You have to select the evil, the lesser evil of these two, and leave with that for another 4 years, unless Trump will be convicted and thrown to jail, and became bankruptcy because he's unable to put money in the courts to appeal. So maybe that's one solution. Then probably Nikki Haley will be running, and she will defeat Joe Biden. I have no doubts about that. And so that would be, or maybe if not Nikki Haley, I don't know, they will have to bring a couple of new candidates, probably some youngsters from high schools or something, to make some younger people inroads. Now with the Biden, okay, well, what's happened with Biden? Okay, he may die before election. So if he'll die, then there will be what, Amy Klobuchar, or what's her name, Kamala Harris, and some other attractive choices on the Republican
Nikki
side.
Haley.
No, Nikki Haley is
I
not.
heard the theory that if Nikki Haley will be thrown under the bus by Trump and his people, and she will have enough of this bullshit, maybe, in fact, she will be courted by the Democrats, and she will run for election on Democratic side and will easily win the election. But again, it's a long shot.
Agree.
A long shot. Again, I'm not saying I would put probably 5 cents on this event actually materialize, but it has more chances than Michelle Obama or some other scenarios. I think there are much more chances than what will happen to Nikki Haley. So don't underestimate her and her chances. She can, on whatever side she will be running, she is a winner if she will be allowed to run.
Well, I'm wondering if she'll go head up a third-party ticket. In other words,
I don't believe in third-party ticket. Period. There is no infrastructure. There is no pattern which would allow. Even Ross Perot, and he's got 22%. Today, all this talks about third party or so on. Not 22%, 2.5%. They will never get it.
Right. Well, what about Robert Kennedy? Have you heard of this guy?
No chances. No chances. Not even 0.5%. Probably a fraction of a percent.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
It's nothing wrong with him. He could be a marvelous guy. He could be the best thing since sliced bread. But there is no mechanism. There is no machinery that could elevate him to any meaningful numbers. So he can do a couple of speeches here and there. He's very popular in some cycles, but it's non-event. Absolutely not. So get used to the thing that there is no third party will save you from either of this old men.
Yeah, but then Sasha, it looks a lot like if you're odds on betting in Las Vegas, you're looking at a Trump-Biden rematch coming up in November.
Yeah, it's coming. Right now, Trump has a little advantage over Biden, but considering how much time there's still left, and Biden hasn't even started his campaign. They're just watching and let them play it around. Let Trump get a few more speeches. Let Supreme Court rule that he is in fact has no immunity, and see how the special prosecutor will proceed against him. So there's nothing really to talk about it until, I would say, probably not even May, but probably early June. So by that time, the interest rates will come down at least 25 basic points. Stock market will continue to run. Today was a horrible day, by the way, in the stock market. And I was thinking about tomorrow's financial show.
Yes.
Yeah, and I thought to have the name is U.S. stock market collapsing? Well,
I don't know, but yesterday was extremely horrible too.
Well,
yesterday was very horrible too, Sasha. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but it may just be a natural correction.
I have predicted. Right, but I also predicted that all of this is truly to control the political campaign. And we will see this continue to happen, because if it continues to make this president look bad, then of course they're in, because that they want to get rid of him, then that's what they're going to do. The stock market, the Federal Reserve, they're all controlling these factors, I believe, right now, because they are going to be they're going to be why people vote a certain way. They're just going, and they're going to control that. They're the controlling factor.
You believe in conspiracy theories. I don't. And I don't think there is a single entity or individual or mechanism that can control interest rates, the direction of the stock market, or individual stocks, or just anything. The stock market is a very interesting, sophisticated mechanism which absorbs all information available, and it has its own life. And all you have to do is to listen what stock market is telling you and follow. Don't fight it. You just have to figure out what it is and follow it. This is old theory of Tao. You don't fight the direction.
No, you follow
You're
it.
becoming part of it. Okay, you don't want to swim faster than the stream, and you don't want to fight the stream and to go against it. You have to become part of the stream and do exactly the same speed as the stream goes. This is the most successful strategy in the stock market. And look at this stock. I'm talking a lot about Nvidia. Nvidia crashed in the morning today. It closed yesterday 723, I think, and it went down all the way to 700 right on the opening. So it's a huge 2% move on the stock as Nvidia. And because it's very expensive stock, so even 2% represents a lot of money. And look at when it ended today, almost broke even. And after market, it's already higher than it closed. So if people would listen to my shows and they would have nothing else but Nvidia, even on a day like today, they would still make money. Unbelievable. But
You know who else made out, and especially yesterday, was JetBlue. So JetBlue did really good.
Yes.
I think it was Carl Icahn. Didn't he invest a lot in JetBlue as well? And so that kind of swung the investments into JetBlue's pockets. Carl Icahn seems to kind of swing the way people invest as well. But I agree with you. If people would watch your show a little bit more, I think that they would understand a little bit more how to protect their investments, but also how to have fun investing, because I think you can have fun doing it as well. It's work, but it's fun watching it grow, especially if you do it yourself. So don't forget to watch Modern Investing with Sasha Starr on Wednesdays. I think it's at 1 p.m. Am I right, Sasha?
Yes,
correct.
it is.
Eastern Standard Time.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
But I truly believe that the swing vote is dependent on the Federal Reserve and the stock market. I think these people can control a little bit of it, and it is going to control how people vote, because it's going to be all in how people feel financially. And right now, nobody feels financially secure. I also believe that the immigration problem is getting worse, not better. But I don't think it's the way we're controlling it at the border. I think it is our policies that we need to begin with. But we don't make policies with enforcement. And that's the other thing we have to do. When we write a policy, we have to make an enforcement with it. Otherwise, it's just a worthless piece of paper, which we have a lot of that. We have a lot of waste of paper and a waste of hot air in Washington, D.C. with our laggership that we have today. And again, we need to start focusing on how we elect things. But I'm really concerned about the fact that the Republicans have done nothing but execute their own people from their jobs. Even over the weekend, we've seen this happen again, where they've removed somebody from their political position in the Republican Party. And it just seems to be a continuous pendulum swinging and cutting people's jobs. Is this going to continue? I don't see the Democrats doing this. Why are the Republicans executing so many of their people from their jobs, Nick?
Because Republicans is a mafia-like organization, and whatever the mafia boss wants to implement and do, he'll do it. It's nothing else. So today, Trump is a citizen. Trump. He has no position anywhere, not in government, not even in his own party, not anywhere.
Well, and I've
However,
read that Trump controlled this. I read that.
He
Yeah,
controls
I read that he
completely
controlled
this.
this.
Yeah, it's not Republican Party. It's a party of one. It's a party of Trump, and he can do in this party, and nobody can resist them. All this wimp and all these cowards. Look at these debates that they had. A couple of debates, and all this Vivek and Scott and all these clowns. They all went to collect puppies to Trump and say, hey, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? It's horrible. It's a party of complete idiots. It's complete Mike Johnson, another clown. It's just impossible to watch.
Can you imagine they had all these debates, all these candidates. Trump didn't show up to any of them. And yet he wins the nomination. So
that's how he respects his own party.
Well, and all of the executions in the Republican Party, I just read that have been endorsed by Trump. So even when he's not in any political office, he has influenced everything that goes on in the Republican Party. And I just want to know, is it really good that you get rid of House speakers and people in the Republican Party just because they don't represent the Republican Party policies and benefits, that they're representing humanity policies and benefits? I mean, all of a sudden the Republicans are, like you said, Sasha, I agree with you. I think the Republican Party has become a mafia.
It is a mafia-like organization, and they all have to be, starting with Mike Johnson, he has to be thrown in jail because he's consulting Trump on every single issue, and Trump is nobody today. So how Mike Johnson, the number 3 person in the United States, cannot make a move, cannot say a word without consulting the criminal-minded person who is Donald Trump? So he has to be.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes Joe Biden consults Mrs. Biden. So what? That there's nothing illegal.
Mrs. Biden has a certain status. She's the first lady. The way I understand the U.S. politics, Trump is what? He's a first man. What is his title?
Sure, but the thing is, they hire outside consultants all the time anyway, and the reason they're consulting Trump is he is the de facto nominee for the president of the United States.
Well,
he's de facto probably the president of the United States. So
perhaps, but the appeal court judges called him Citizen Trump, not the President Trump. They called him 12 times Citizen Trump. That's all what his clone is. He's a Citizen Trump, soon to be in jail. That's all what there is to it.
Well, you have these people over here, they just hate Trump, no matter what he says. They have the people over here, they love Trump, no matter what he says. And that's what you got, okay? And then the thing is with Biden, you have the same thing. People love Biden. No matter what, they'll defend him, even though he can't put a coherent sentence together. And then you have people that hate him because the thing is they think he's taking the country the wrong direction. That is the reality.
Sometimes as a woman, you can probably confirm that sometimes the love is blind. And you can do a lot of mistakes in your life because of love is blind after all.
Right. Yeah. But I'm just saying the thing is it's not like there's a bunch of people and they all hate Trump. If that was the case, Sasha, he would not be the de facto nominee of the Republican Party and perhaps the next president of the United States. Granted, I've heard all the arguments from the anti-Trumpsters, but it's almost like they don't have the magic bullet yet. They do not have it. They don't have the smoking gun. All they have is smoke, but not the gun. So
let's wait for a couple of days Supreme Court decision on his immunity. Once that's done, I think there will be a different game.
Like I said, I don't think he's going to get immunity, but I also think he'll be on
what?
So he won't get immunity, but he's going to be on the ballot. Hey, Jacoby has just joined us. That's great because we're going to end the show, Jacoby. So, gosh, the sad part, I couldn't put something up that was so anti-Jacoby and just end the show right afterwards. Because if I could, I would, do that. But unfortunately, I can't do that. Instead, we just have to end the show. So it's good to see that the representation from the progressive
and Mark has left the room.
And Mark has left the room, and Jacoby from the progressive left has arrived. And the minute the left comes, here's what we do.